How are you doing today, Tolu Do, Lion of Newcastle? Do people come to expect that from you? Do you always have to roar at the start of a show? Is that like a thing with you and your poetry squad?
Yeah, it's a thing. Like when people call me up on stage, like when I'm being introduced on stage, people are already even roaring before I get on stage.
I love
because
that.
that's like the expectation. And the other dimension to that is I go see my friends. When they see me, they're roaring. People call me on the phone and they're just I think that's the most funny one. Like friends just call me, oh, Tony, Merry Christmas. Rah!
I love that. I love that. The roaring lion of Newcastle. So let's kind of start with the beginning of your life. And for people who they've never heard about you, don't know anything about you, outside of kind of the general labels in life that define us, right?
Yeah.
Like if you were trying to help someone get to know you in as few words as possible, how would you describe yourself and how you came to be who you are today?
Yeah, I would say a coconut-headed Ekiti man.
Okay.
Ekiti is renowned as a fountain of knowledge in Ekiti State. I had deep convictions about life in general.
Yeah.
About, just being that, calm head in the room.
Yeah.
I believe I'm very knowledgeable and wise. Like, I just feel like I'm that person, that friend, if you need like deep knowledge, wisdom that you could talk to, I'm that person who would, will fill in the gap perfectly well. Yeah, born in the Ekiti State, Nigeria, do Ekiti to be precise. We moved to Lagos in the early 90s. My dad first, he got a job within the financial services sector. And the whole family joined him thereafter. Yeah, so it was a turbulent childhood, to be fair, but we are here. We got here at last. My dad studied English and literary studies at the University of Ibadan. That, and I think that was just the initial foundation for who I am today, because we had a lot of books in the house. Growing up by nature, I was quite introverted. Yeah, so I just found solace in the pages of books. And I think that was just that was growing up for me. I'm just that boring child.
Boring.
I can't dance to save my life. So it will be like a travesty to see your parties. I don't go, I don't do parties because I know. Like we had one estate party growing up that when all the fine babes, like all my friends in the estate, they came to dance with me, feel like, oh, this guy's bones like quite stiff. I was left with the house help, like one. Because the house help, the other guys, they had like other estate babes like to dance with, so I had no choice just to manage what I could get in that situation. So I was just but like I knew growing up that I was gonna be like successful. I had really big dreams. And I just saw myself that, even if it wasn't going to be academically, I just knew that I was going to be like a great success in life. We had like an uncle, my mom's elder brother, who was really successful as a banker. He rose to like great heights.
Yeah.
And I just saw myself, like even when I entered the financial services sector, that I was also going to be like a great success. I'm going to rise to become a director. I just knew that, someday I would also rise and become a director. I want to be that role model that, I work within financial crime, regulatory compliance now. In my other life, I'm a struggling poet. If I were to be just a poet, I'm not sure I will live the kind of life I really want.
Yeah.
But as I think that other life like balances things out for me. Yeah. So turbulent childhood. I'm not like a trust fund kid. We grew up like not having enough, but through the years, my dad told us like big dreams. He was a dreamer. He believed when we didn't have passport, no international passport, like he just told us big dreams that one day we'll travel around the world. We'll travel in aeroplanes when nobody had a passport in the house. So it was before things like motivational speakers, we had one in the house who really believed and and we were all walking in line. We were, just a family that, we had a lot of currencies of belief, like that one day we would all make it, one day we'll become global citizens. And they just taught us, just spirit of hard work, of being diligent in your ways, and the world as seeing the world as your own oyster, achieving your dreams, and just anything else could become possible.
Oof. Okay. So we've talked about a lot, right? So let's try to break it down, right? Because one thing I heard you talking about a lot was your dad and, him being a huge motivator for where you are today. You also mentioned he was in the financial sector. You're in the financial sector. You also said he was a writer and you're a writer. So for you, looking back on kind of your life and where you come from, especially with this book that you released in 2025, Home in Motion, you're talking a lot about where you're from. You actually dedicate it to Ekiti, right? So there's a lot of you right now and where you are in your writing thinking about where you're from. So when you think about like your dad, because you talked a lot about him, where do you see his influence in, how you've lived your life so far and how you're thinking about, your writing when you're going back to the theme of home?
Yeah, I see him as a great inspiration in terms of because I think growing up or when I first, forayed into writing, I saw myself as this wise head who would, write stuff around similar to like Aesop's fables, just, things that anyone would just pick up and get wisdom. I felt I was that kind of person. And I think with my collection of essays, Unravel Your Hidden Gems, that was a book that was highly commended by, everyone, just like a life Bible. So I think I gleaned a lot from my dad's teachings around just life in general. I saw him, how he lived his life in terms of just celebrating other people's successes, helping other people to rise. He's a man of the people, a man for the community. And I think I learned a lot of that from him as well. In my own capacity, like within the UK, I've helped like quite a lot of my people within my own community, be it like just support them within global talent. But I just feel like as a person, as an individual, I like to like build out as well. I like to build systems. For some people, they want people to platform them. But I'm that person who would like, if the opportunity to be platformed is not there, I would rather build out the platforms for myself and for others as well.
And do you get that from, would you say, your upbringing? Your dad, was he that kind of person? What was your relationship like? What was he like with you guys growing up?
Yeah, growing up, I think it was like a little bit turbulent. Yeah, it was turbulent.
Was he strict?
Yeah, it was.
Tolu.
It was so strict. I chopped kid. I chopped kid. I was also quite troublesome as well. So yes, I was troublesome. Our relationship was very, very turbulent. But I think over the years we've just become close, and we've left the past in the past.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I remember like growing up, even so when I changed schools, SS1, and so I got into a new school, a boarding house, and SS1 to SS2, I was going to get promoted on trial to SS2. And my dad was like, nah, it's going to repeat. And my mom and the vice principal education, they were begging me, man, like, oh, please, just consider this boy. I was also begging. Say, no, it's going to repeat. So my dad is that man that, he also has like really, really deep convictions. Like it's really once he has his bias, his mindset about a particular thing, it's just a one-way traffic. It's really difficult to like just change his mind.
Yeah.
But I think with, now he's growing old, when they grow older, then I think they begin to soften a bit.
The ginger is not there anymore.
So, but I think it's just maybe a general Ekiti thing. Like just that being coconut headed.
Okay, so we're going through the phase of being a coconut head and being like a young person trying to find their way, right? So some of the books that you sent me, one of it was You Need More Than Your Dreams, a poetry for young people.
Yeah.
And here you're kind of exploring a lot about what it means to be a young person finding your way.
Yeah.
And, you have a lot of advice for kind of like young people who are finding their way. So for you as a person growing up, you talk a lot about being a coconut head, right? And, you kind of pushing back against what a young person would perceive as, blockers, but an adult might see as like
Yeah.
things that are supposed to help you, right?
Yeah.
So from this book specifically, right? What do
Yeah.
you kind of hope that like young people get out of it in a way that is balanced and not necessarily, me telling you how to live your life?
Yeah, so I think for You Need More Than Dreams is just is a book that speaks to the heart of the young person.
Mm-hmm.
That, there'll be peer pressure, there'll be a lot of voices in your head,
Mm-hmm.
but you can become worthwhile. You can just become the best version of you.
Yeah.
You are magic walking on two legs. So it's just a book to help the young person.
Yeah.
Not really a book that says, oh, do this, do that, do that.
Mm-hmm.
But a book that they would read and, it becomes like a friend, a companion to them, a guiding light that as a young person, yeah, it's okay to have dreams, but you need more than dreams as well.
And what does that mean, needing more than dreams?
Yeah, so, needing more than dreams, like at times you can dream, oh, I want to buy a range.
I mean, is that a bad dream?
Yeah, not a bad dream, but you have to put in the work. So that's just a good example to say, yeah, it's okay to dream. It's okay to aspire to be that, but you need more than dreams to just become the best version of you. So dreaming alone cannot put food on your table. You need to put in the work as well. So I speak on, on issues, topics that affect young people, peer pressure. At times, as a young person, even a young kid, a teenager growing up, they see their parents as like a burden. Oh, these people are stressing me out.
Yeah.
They just feel they don't want to listen to anything. Everyone wants to, I'm young, I'm wild, I can join gangs, I can do anything I want to do.
Yeah.
But kids, they still need, great. They need to follow the examples of those who have gone before them. When we are that age, we feel like, yeah, we can just do anything. We are tired of our parents.
Yeah.
But when we grow older, we see things in a different light. And I think, so as someone who has gone through the same routes, who has experienced, who has faced the challenges that young people growing up would generally face, youthful exuberance. Young people just do a lot of things out of that curiosity for the world, for things around them. They want to explore. So this is just a book that aims to be a friend, a guide to them. That these issues do exist.
Yeah.
But you can glean lessons from the pages of the poetry collection.
Yeah. So one of the things that you say in, your 2023 book, You Need More Than Your Dreams, is that I wasn't my father's mirror image, nor the caricature of my mother, right? So now that you're in a different mind space, you're not a youth anymore. You're kind of like looking back on your life.
Yeah.
What is your reflection on that? How do you kind of see the past now that you're a bit older?
Yeah, I still see like in a different light because as parents want their children to model after them or give their children like unnecessary pressure to say, oh, the child of Lagbaja is this, or this one is this, or this one is that. But I feel like parents, even as a parent,
as a parent now yourself.
Yeah, as a parent myself, that's not the way it ought to be. Like, I give my kids the opportunity to also be who they want to be.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I was having a chat with my dad, like he was also saying, oh, I want, this, I passed through Oxford. I want my grandson to go to Oxford. I'm like, it doesn't work that way. Sorry, sir, it doesn't
No
work.
pressure.
No pressure, it doesn't work that way. Because you might want it to be something, but he might want to be something else. So life doesn't work the way our parents will see things like, oh, I want my child to be this, or they want you to live the life they never had.
Yeah.
No, so we must. Yeah, I wasn't my father's mirror image, not the caricature of
Of your
my
mother.
mother,
Yeah.
but I can still be who I want to be. And but just not like just being out of bounds, not out of line.
Yeah.
So just letting the young person also see that you don't really have to be anyone's mirror image. You don't have to be the version of them. So some parents, even they will advise you on things that you should not be doing. But when they were your age, they were doing the same thing.
Turn up.
So maybe they've learned lessons that, when I did this, it wasn't good.
Yeah.
So
they don't want you to make the same mistakes, but they're not having those conversations with you with full context.
Yeah, with the full context. And because as young people as well, young people might want to explore. Just they are curious. What does this like?
I mean,
we just to try once. But so I think that's the context around that. But I think looking back on on growing up, I think the thing that just amuses and fascinates me the most is just that where have the years? They've just all disappeared. Like I can't. Like just a few years ago, or just some years back, I was a little boy. Now I'm just this guy who's checking out my black hair to see where I'm seeing some strands of white hair growing. So, but as someone who has faced the challenge of like just being a young person, growing up to become a teenager with all these bags of dreams, ideas, I think it's just beautiful to like being able to write a book, which I consider a gem that could help young people to like, in a non-judgmental way, help them to see, the bigger context of issues, and just to see at times parents may have like a different mindset, and the kids are looking at things from a different mindset. It's just to, walk in their shoes as well, be their friends, be the person they can talk to, they can relate to, not just I'm the father, whatever I say is law.
So another book that you kind of wrote pre this Home Emotion book in this year, 2025, was, On the Train to Hell, where, it was interesting to read the very last poem, which is called I No Longer Have a Home.
Yeah.
And, throughout the book, you had been going through a lot of your frustrations with being someone growing up in Nigeria, being a young person growing up in Nigeria. And the collection almost feels like by the end, it's almost like you're breaking up with Nigeria. You're like, I'm done, right? Could you talk about that part of your past, right? We've talked a little bit about Ekiti and like your family and, kind of growing up trying to find your own voice, but you're also living in this larger ecosystem that is, Nigeria. And you dedicate this book to, a couple of people who died at the, Kaduna
on the train.
On the train, right. A terrorist attack on the train. How do all those things kind of like influence your recollection of home? And, how did you get to this point in this book where, you're saying, I no longer have a home, almost like a divorce or a breakup. And by the time we get to 2025, there's almost like a bit of a shift, right?
Yeah.
It's not so black and white anymore. So can you talk to us about the evolution of you from, On the Train to Hell to Home Emotion?
Yeah, so On the Train to Hell came out in 2022. And On the Train to Hell is just like a summation, it's a collection of poetry that speaks on grief and sadness. And this is, a collection of poems that speaks to the evil in society, in Nigeria, more contextually, like issues that, terrorism, death, crime, and just looking at, poems like dreams end at the door of death, knowing that no matter the dreams you might have for life, for living, for enjoyment and jollification, everything ends when we die. I looked at, looking at life, the synonym of death, same square fate, how do we process grief? How do we look at grief as a subject? How do, different, how do we handle loss as well? So for me, I no longer have a home just speaks to all of the I've seen enough evil. Even though when I wrote this collection, I moved to the UK in 2010. Moved briefly back to Nigeria in 2015, then came back in 2016. But I was in the UK, but I'm just that poet, that writer who likes to speak up against like injustice, not just injustice that affects me. Some people usually care about things that impact
Things
them
that impact
directly.
them, yeah.
Yeah, so but from a global perspective, I just like to use my poetry, my writing as a form of advocacy to speak for the voiceless, for the defenseless. So On the Train to Hell is just a poetry collection that speaks to collective grief, collective sorrow that affects not just me, but a country, a people that have been ravaged. I wrote, I think it was about 4 poems in memory of Deborah Samuel, the Christian girl that was, killed in Sokoto for blasphemy.
Yeah.
And, it's so, for me, that's not a country I want to be part of, a country where people, fight for a God. If I have a God, then that God should be so powerful to fight for himself or herself, or whichever way you would want to characterize that God. So I don't want people if I am Tolu, for instance, I don't need anyone to fight for me. I'm capable of fighting for myself. So for me, it came from a place of grief, a place of sadness that, this is not how a proper society should look like, a country. And at that point in time, it was just more of like a breakup. Even I no longer have a home. I'm just this wanderer.
Yeah.
Just traversing the earth as well.
Yeah. So let's talk about, kind of the transition from being, a youth in Nigeria, you found your voice, and now you're moving to another place that is not the home that you grew up in, but is the home that is kind of the home of your choice as an adult, right?
Yeah.
You moved to the UK, and, the literal first poem in this new book is you're talking about, kind of writing a love letter to Newcastle, essentially. Like, you call it a love affair. Can you tell me about the mental struggle of, the home that you kind of like are born into versus the home that you kind of like choose as an adult? You almost describe it as like you feeling like you're cheating on your spouse or something, and you're just like, you know what? Yeah, this is the love that I'm choosing. So can you tell us about, because there's so many people who are immigrants who kind of are in between this idea of like, who am I from the person that I was born into versus the person that, I have to choose when I'm grown up. So can you tell us about your mind state and kind of like exploring these ideas?
Yeah, so for me, I feel like to the person I've become, to my legacy as a writer, Newcastle has been that place, that city, and it was just fitting for me to, open the collection with like a love affair, to a love letter, to Newcastle.
Yeah.
Because the city has been everything. I've, if anyone had, told me like many years ago that Tolu would become this colossal figure on the literary scene from nothing, and people that knew me, like even whilst like starting out within Newcastle, some could even just vouch, oh, this guy was onto something. The guy would light up your room, like just the energy was there, the passion was there, and it was only, with time, every other thing would just fall into place. So for me, I just saw that, Newcastle was just that place, that city of my shining star, the city, that city where everything just came into place. So I owe the city a lot.
Yeah.
Because when you put my name on Google or any search engine today, you will see a lot of like affiliation with Newcastle, the Lion of Newcastle. I am the publisher of the literary imprint, the publishing imprint, the Royal Lion Newcastle. So Newcastle has just been that place where my dreams have become reality. 23 books.
It's like your New York. People say New York is a city of dreams. Yeah. Newcastle is your city of dreams.
That's my city of dreams. The city where everything has just fallen into the right place.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful for the city as well.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I titled the collection as Home Emotion. And I think I had a poem where I said, home is where, you can just rest in peace. Like
Yeah, you
home,
talk about that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like home is where you find, for me, I feel like home is where you find rest.
Yeah.
Home is where your dreams now like become reality.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think Newcastle has played that role fantastically well, and I'm really, really grateful for that opportunity.
Mm.
I say if Newcastle were to be a woman, I would just take her in as a second wife because,
Jesus.
yeah, I'm serious. Like if
Not a
Newcastle were a
second.
woman, I would say, would you say I do? It's just that the bond that we share is so perfect, and I wrote a poem. I think it was in Dead Dog Stoneback. I said, "A community of writers sheltered me in the days, the nights were forlorn.
Yeah.
Poetry was my anthem, and the verses my soul dances to." And I was telling people, I hope you will find your Newcastle. So for me, I found my own Newcastle.
Yeah.
So anywhere you find yourself, I hope you find your own city where your own dreams also can become reality.
Mm-hmm.
So at times we see home in this context of, oh, it has to be my place of birth. It has to be this, it has to be that. Well, home is where you find rest. Home is where you can actualize that vision, that compelling vision. Because we have like a reason why we are here.
Yeah.
So if you are lucky enough to find a city where that vision has now become reality, then you have to celebrate that, because it's not just one of those things. Like I could just have lived a life whereby all these lofty dreams I have, all these books would just have been like dreams within me.
Yeah.
But now today I can say, Tolu Akinyemi, I've lived a truly fulfilling life. Like I've achieved, if I were to die tomorrow, I would say, yeah, my legacy would forever live on.
Yeah.
So, and I think if it's been achieved in the city, then, I have to be grateful to that city. And yeah, so I'm really happy that for all that's happened. I'm grateful, that when I had the 4 job offers in 2016, I'm just grateful that destiny brought me, to choose the one in Newcastle. I could have gone anywhere else. I've had opportunities to go to other cities, to take jobs in other cities. Or, that is just like a deep connection. You can't leave, or you can't.
Jordy.
You don't know, you can't leave me, So, yeah, so I'm truly grateful, like, just, to Newcastle, the city of dreams. Like, yeah, like you mentioned, my own New York.
Yeah, it's your New York. But let's talk about kind of like the other side of, the home that you choose, right? Like, especially now, immigration is such a contentious topic in the UK, not just in the UK, like all over the world, right? And there are so many people who are on the journey like you to trying to choose their own home as adults, right? So where do you see this kind of like battle of identity, especially in this kind of world where there is a lot of conversation of people telling you to, stay where you are, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody in the world has that freedom, to move. For you, where is that, juxtaposition in the identity of people trying to keep you where you are versus you having the freedom to like explore that and choose your identity and your home?
Yeah, for me personally, even through my own lived experience, I believe the world is a global village. Like if someone that said, "Oh, Tolu, stay where you are," or "Stay in Lagos," or I'm sure Newcastle
stay in
Ekiti. Newcastle would not have enjoyed all of this beautiful poetry, all of this. The lion who has now come to Newcastle to make a whole lot of difference to the scene, where other people can say, "Oh yeah, that writer who has now become this influential writer in Newcastle." So that shows that talent is not a function of your skin color. We all have something of value to give to the world. So I think for people who just see things, "Oh, go back to your country, you're not from here," I think it's just looking at it from a smaller lens. Like people have to grow and see the world from this perfect picture, this global, this global perspective that we all need each other to survive. For someone who is on the hospital bed who wants to die, they won't say, "Oh, he's a black doctor. No, I would rather die than have a black doctor carry out this surgery."
Yeah.
You wouldn't say that. Yeah. So for me, I feel like we all just need to see, we all need each other to survive. That's why we have even in the UK, there are so many skills that they cannot, they are shortage occupation, that they need other people who are skilled in those areas to help them. Otherwise, there will be a crisis. Like, there are sectors in this country that you need. So economic migration is always important. And I feel like, I remember there was an hit piece, I think that was in the Telegraph, around, they are importing Shakespeare from, like, they were just like a piece to attack the global talent visas, to say, this is a country of Shakespeare. How come they are now importing poets from Nigeria or from around the world to come to the UK? But yeah, I think it's a good thing to be culturally minded, to fight for your own identity. But we need to see the world as a global village. But in terms of identity, I'm a big believer that we should also preserve culture. So as a poet of Nigerian descent, I do not believe that, I have to come to the UK and impose my culture. I'm aware of my own culture, but I'm not trying to change the British culture. Or, I wrote some poems in the collection as well, where I talked about my British citizenship ceremony, and I saw things and that inspired me to write that poem. I don't want people that in years to come to now say, they want to impose cultures that are alien to the British values, the UK. If you are so passionate about those cultures, please stay in your country and implement those cultures. So I believe in that school of thought that do not try to erase other people's culture. Do not try to impose yourself. It's okay for us to live in unity, with our neighbors, with people. Just enjoy the British lifestyle. It's okay for you to still uphold your own values, your own identity, your own culture. But I think what causes a lot of conflict is those who will come to this country and say, they want to impose their own cultures. They want the UK now to become their own country. But if you look at those countries, are they really doing well? Is that the sort of country? So if you have those ideas, those values that would diminish your host nation, then I would rather say for those sort of individuals, they should stay back in wherever they are. But economic migration I believe so much in economic migration and its importance in the world as a global village. And I believe that, the diversity of ideas in terms of even within the art space, I bring something to the scene that no one else can bring. And I think that is what makes, a society even more, that makes him, better, diverse. When you have diverse voices, it's all for the better.
Diversity. So I want to go to the preface of your book. You say documentation is very important for writers to avoid erasure and preserve history, events, and memories. I hope this collection of poems paints a vivid picture of the value I place on home, new beginnings, and journeying into new cities to start all over again. So what do you want people to get out of this collection that you think that you have documented? What is this kind of a preservation of this collection of poems?
Yeah, so I think the poetry collection speaks a lot to the importance of home, the meaning of home, what it means to feel at home. And also it's a collection that looks back, because when documenting, I think it would be disingenuous for us to forget where we're coming from. And that's why I've written poems that talks about Ekiti and my origin becoming a tree in the forest where men shape words. And, and just looking at where the journey all began from, where I am at this time. And even though, like you mentioned, when you talked about the train to hell, and things have changed, I try to see life as fluid as well. And even though I also mentioned that I have deep convictions myself, but I tend to see those convictions as fluid. Like, even though I don't, because when you have new information, new knowledge, you can always change your mind. Change your mind. Life shouldn't just be like black and white, because this is what I hold true, and it must always be true. You can have new information that can change that. But I think home emotion is just for every migrant to say that, this is how well, just to speak to the migrant experience, say what home is, And for me, I found Newcastle, like I mentioned, as that city where dreams have become reality. For someone else, it could be Manchester, it could be London, it could be New York,
Yeah.
it could be anywhere. So it's just a collection that speaks just to the migrant experience and for everyone to find where that city where they can rest in peace, where that home can be for them.
Yeah.
So, and for me, I was supposed to like travel to Nigeria like last month.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I was even not thankful that I'm happy that I didn't travel because I was just like, oh, maybe I would just have been anxious because it would have been like an interstate travel. And for me, if I call that home and I have that anxiety that I hope we won't be kidnapped, we won't, people won't just come from the bush and attack us, and I have to start looking for ransom money. So at that point, I felt, well, I didn't have that safety that, oh, this could be home anymore in terms of the value that is now even placed on human life, on security of the human life as well. So that goes to show that the migrant experience and even your definition of what home would be or looks like is ever changing as well.
And what about the people who, for whatever reason cannot move, right? They can't get that economic movement experience, right? Like, so for somebody who is still in Nigeria, right, who maybe they want to move but they can't move, right? Are they doomed? What are your thoughts on, where they call home?
Yeah, for me, I feel the world is a global village. Even before I moved to the UK, through books, I was already like seeing the world through books before we had YouTube, before, through books, documentation, journaling, when you read expansively. And now we are lucky we're in an era whereby even though you could be in Nigeria, you're earning dollars, you're earning pound sterling.
Amazing.
Yeah, so you can be anywhere in the world now and, just interact with people across the world. So it's even more better for people now. We have all these digital platforms that people relate across countries, across continents. So I think we are in better times. But even while I was growing up, we didn't have that luxury. But through books, through reading, you expand your worldview. You can read up cultures. Like there are people who are literally in Nigeria who can like even speak in whatever, you can speak in whatever accent, you can learn any language, you can become whatever you desire to become. So I don't think we are really, people can say that, oh, you might be limited in terms of, oh, maybe countries you travel to, but in terms of the capacity of the mind to develop, to become that global citizen, you are not limited by space, like, or limited by, oh, I don't have a UK passport or an American passport. You can achieve your dreams irrespective of location. There are people who are in Nigeria as well who are doing like exceptional things as well. So I don't think, for me, location is not a barrier to success. Location can even bring out that spirit of resilience, the Nigerian spirit that helps you wherever you find yourself in the world to thrive. So for me, I think that's quite important as well.
I love that. So it's almost like home emotion. It's a philosophy that like wherever you call home shouldn't be a cage. You should always be able to have the freedom to, explore and achieve and, go over the things that you want. So I think in that spirit, we should probably, I'm going to give you the book to read us a poem that you've written on page 26 of your Home in Motion book called Freedom Song. I think that is the perfect one to kind of drive us to the end of this conversation.
Yeah, so Freedom Song, Home in Motion. I am singing the Freedom Song, bettered from chaos and winds of fury. My country has excreted its youths and turned them into wingless birds. Home is transiting through pregnant clouds. We carried home through the corridors of death, this passageway of hell. On the survival trail, I was once asked, what does home mean to you? I retorted, home is where the heart finds the freedom to pull our strings of dreams, strike chords of ecstasy, and rest in peace.
And rest in peace. I love that. Thank you so much for this conversation. And I hope that, anybody who kind of picks up your collection, and maybe they should read it the way I read it, where, I went from 2022 to 2023 to 2025. And, it really took me on this journey of, someone trying to figure out what life is through things that are bigger than you, and finally coming to a place of, having the courage to find the things that you want and coming to, your peace, right? The place where you kind of like can rest in peace.
Yeah, I'm resting.
And people should have the courage to find that. Thank you so much for this conversation.
Raw.
Home emotion.